Let's maul in the Central Committee. Let's cringe in the Central Committee. Let's bog in the Central Committee right now.
If fascists get in power in America, this is the type of shit they're gonna do. And you know the type of people that are gonna get taken out? Me. They're gonna take me out first, for fuck's sake. Why? I don't know. It's just my luck, okay? But if you get a mullet, you won't be able to go to North Korea. What is our mullets illegal in North Korea? You're gonna have to fill me in on this one. You've never seen Mike and Corn Puff in the same place at the same time. You got me. I came out Joe Biden with a straight razor, but unfortunately I couldn't take him off. First they came for the Twitch streamers. You know, you joke about that, Euthanasia Waltz, but that's what this guy basically was. He was a Telegram guy. Check this out. All right, let's get into this.
An incident in the skies over Eastern Europe.
Hassan wants to do man bun?
Media say that President Alexander Lukashenko ordered a fighter jet to force a Ryanair flight with an opposition activist on board to land in the capital of Minsk, Belarus today. Roman Protasevich, a vocal critic of Lukashenko's regime, was arrested at Minsk airport after his flight from Greece to Lithuania was forced to land. Protasevich is the founder of two popular opposition social media channels that are critical of the Belarus government and are considered extremists there. He is also on a government wanted list for terrorism.
So basically, he's the Belarusian equivalent of a Twitch streamer. That's it.
Lukashenko, the president, who has been in power since 1994, has consistently cracked down on all forms of opposition, including media, which is why other countries from the U.S. to Germany to Lithuania are expressing concern that a country leader can divert an international flight to silence opposition voices. Do you feel like the international community can
By the way, let's go
any-
back and look at those tweets. Let's see who we got. Let's see who they got them from. They got Dominic Raab, who is, I believe, the UK foreign minister. He says the UK is alarmed by reports of the arrest of Nexta TV journalist Roman Prechevich and circumstances that led to his flight being forced to land in Minsk. We are coordinating with our allies. This is outlandish action by Lukashenko. Will have serious implications. Norway, FMA, that's the foreign affairs, media foreign affairs, I think. It is shocking and totally unacceptable that Belarus regime forces a passenger flight to land in Minsk to arrest an opponent. I call for the immediate release of Roman Protasevich. Hey, Red October 09. Why does everybody's name have to be hard to pronounce? Why can't you just be named Orb 1 and Orb 2? You all have to have all these fancy fucking names, man. Starlight Eyes, long time no see. How are you? Thank you for the tier 3. Holy shit. Thank you so much. Your name is Mike, yet you cannot set up a mic. Yes, I can. I can set it up. I just haven't. Is this unprecedented, or have any other countries used this tactic of military plane interceptions and political arrests? I regret to inform you of many incidents in the past of passenger planes being shot down or intercepted. I'm sorry to inform you that due to chat not receiving the mic, we have unionized and are issuing a general strike. No mic, no subs. All resubs are... Okay, Chuck. That's not how you do it, Shunk Harmony. First, you need to have a democratic will. You can't just unilaterally make that post, okay? Curious how the only names Mike can pronounce Eastern Bloc names without a problem, but Gonzalez throws him for a loop. Eugene Debs got arrested similarly. Not on a plane, but yeah. No pull. All right, let's keep going. I already told you. Don't you distract me from the content.
Voices. Do you feel like the international community can do anything against Lukashenko's actions?
Of course, they can. Belarus is on international agenda for 9 months already because of unprecedented violence and tortures in our country. And now this step that is threatened not only to Belarusian people, but also to...
Wait a minute. Morning, Mike. Can we talk about the Jimquisition video about resellers? The one thing millennials did kill, is that the one? Yeah. You know what? Fuck it. We can react to that later today. If we have some time for some fun.
Other people of other countries should raise much more attention to our question and should lead to stronger actions from democratic countries. And we have already talked to ministers of Greece and Ireland, and we are in contact with the governments of Lithuania and Poland and the USA, just for them.
It doesn't really matter what the politics were, chat.
Additional measures about the situation. So first of all, it's about sanctions. Sanctions will for sure make Lukashenko to release political prisoners, including Roman, and isolate Lukashenko politically and economically to make him more talkative, for him to understand that the escalation of violence is unexpected.
It doesn't really matter what his politics are. If you are forcing planes that are not even landing in your country with fighter jets because you want to get some guy who's posting on the internet, we can't allow that. We can't allow that. I don't care if this guy's a right winger or a centrist or whatever. I don't give a shit. That is not. I don't want to be on a fucking plane going to a vacation in Greece or supporting an organization somewhere, and then the norm be, oh, okay, we can use fighter jets because you passed in this, above the country in a civilian airliner. Fuck that. That is a real deprivation of everybody's rights. That is some fucked up. That's fucked up, man. Mato. Okay, so let me try this. Haiti Mo 96. That's my best effort. Thank you for the prime, sir. Ma'am, or non-binary pal. We did the exact same thing to Evo Morales, and a bunch of EU countries did it for us. Exactly. We didn't do it for Evo Morales. We did it. It was done for I think it was for who was it Edward Snowden, or was it Julian Assange? That's actually a really good point. Thanks for bringing that up. Evo Morales plane forced down. Forcing down Evo Morales' plane was an act of air piracy. Denying the Bolivian president airspace was a metaphor for the gangsterism that now rules the world. Imagine if the aircraft of the president of France being forced down in Latin America on suspicion that he was carrying a political refugee to safety. And not just any refugee, but someone who has provided the people of the world with proof of criminal activity on an epic scale. Imagine the response from Paris, let alone the international community, as the governments of the West call themselves. To a chorus of baying indignation from Whitehall to Washington, Brussels to Madrid, heroic special forces would be dispatched to rescue their leader and, as sport, smash up the source of such flagrant international gangsterism. Editorials would cheer them on, perhaps reminding readers that this kind of piracy was exhibited by the German Reich in the 1930s. The forcing down of Bolivian President Evo Morales' plane, denied airspace by France, Spain, and Portugal, followed by 14-hour confinement while Austrian officials demanded to inspect his aircraft for the fugitive Edward Snowden. There you go, it was Edward Snowden. Was an act of air piracy and state terrorism. It was a metaphor for the gangsterism that now rules the world and the cowardice and hypocrisy of bystanders who dare not speak its name. So in other words, chat, we did a little bit of our own air piracy. And who was president, by the way? Who was president when we did the old air piracy? 4th of July, 2013. That's weird. Who was president? A Tactic, thank you for the 5 tier 1s. And Frost Banana, thank you for the 7 months. DGG Freaks would have you grounded immediately? What? I think they're fighting with someone else at this point. So we could just forget about them. In Moscow, Morales had been asked about Snowden, who remains trapped in the city's airport. If there were a request for political asylum, he said, of course, we would be willing to debate and consider the idea. That was clearly enough of a provocation for the Godfather. We have been in touch with a range of countries that had a chance of giving Snowden land or travel through the country, said a U.S. State Department official. The French, having squealed about Washington spying on their every move, as revealed by Snowden, were first off the mark, followed by the Portuguese. The Spanish then did their bit by enforcing a flight ban of their airspace, giving the Godfather's Viennese hirelings enough time to find out if Snowden was indeed invoking Article 14 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Oh, wow, it's deleted. Oh, cool. That link doesn't work anymore. That's great. Which states, everyone has the right to seek and enjoy in other countries asylum from persecution. Those who paid to keep the record straight have played their part with a cat and mouse media game that reinforces the Godfather's lie that this heroic young man is running from a system of justice rather than a preordained, vindictive incarceration that amounts to torture. Ask Chelsea Manning and the living ghosts in Guantanamo. Historians seem to agree that the rise of fascism in Europe might have been averted had the liberal or left political class understood the true nature of its enemy. The parallels today are very different, but the Damocles sword over Snowden, like the casual abduction of Bolivia's president, ought to stir us into recognizing the true nature of the enemy. So, chat, we did it. And by the way, we did it to Evo Morales. It's almost like the CIA is not a fan of Evo Morales. It's almost like the CIA and the American Foreign Services feel like they can attack Evo Morales. I wonder why that is, chat. What do you think it is about Evo Morales that gives the American foreign policy establishment such confidence? And by the way, chat, this was even more absurd because it wasn't just an activist. It was actively the president of a fucking country. And the United States of America did that. Now let's see if the Financial Times mentioned it. Belarus kidnapping sets a dangerous global precedent. Europe and the U.S. must arrest the slide into international lawlessness. You know, it's funny. The U.S. is the one who steps out on the sled, right? And what do? Now we pretend like it's unprecedented. We haven't listened to the clicking.
Monday, May 24th. I'm Sam Cedar.
And I'm Lucy Steiner. Which one of these stories will you be talking about today?
The far-right dictator of Belarus used a fighter jet and a fake bomb threat to force down a civilian airliner, allowing him to arrest a journalist and a dissident who was on board. Meanwhile, Israel's violence against Gaza is still having ripple effects after a ceasefire, as health officials report hospitals overwhelmed with wounded civilians. Lastly, the Biden administration finally granted temporary protected status to thousands of Haitian immigrants living in the U.S., shielding them from deportation back to a country that is dealing with both a political crisis and a brutal COVID epidemic.
You're listening to Majority.fm's AM Quickie, and these are the stories you need to know.
Belarus's dictator, Alexander Lukashenko, carried out a shocking abduction of a journalist on Sunday using a fighter jet and a fake bomb plot to force down a civilian airliner carrying the dissident and then arresting him on the ground. On Sunday, dissident journalist Roman Protasevich was on a Ryanair flight from Greece to Vilnius, Poland, where he had been living in exile. Protasevich is the 26-year-old former editor of Nexta, a channel on the Telegram app that has become one of Belarus's largest opposition media companies. The flight passed through Belarusian airspace, at which point Belarusian air traffic control claimed there was a bomb threat on board. Lukashenko then used that as a pretext to personally order MiG-29 fighter jets up to force the plane to land in Minsk, although it was, by that time, far closer to its destination of Vilnius. This according to the BBC.
Holy shit.
After 7 hours on the tarmac in Minsk, the flight eventually made it to Vilnius. But Protasevich was not on board. He had already been abducted by Belarusian agents when the plane was forced to land. One passenger on the flight told AFP, quote, "He was not screaming, but it was clear that he was very much afraid. It looked like if the window had been open, he would have jumped out of it." End quote. Protasevich reportedly told other passengers that he was facing the death penalty. Lukashenko has, in recent months, brutally repressed protests against his authoritarian rule, but has been staunchly defended by the Russian government and faced little to no consequence for his policies. European governments in the U.S. have strongly denounced the shocking hijacking, but it's unclear what concrete action they can or actually will take. Prior sanctions on the Lukashenko regime have clearly done little to dampen his brazen authoritarianism. Israel agreed to stop its outright bombardment of the Gaza Strip on Friday, but the aftershock...
So, Chad, that's the situation that we're facing, which is now from, the shooting down of an Air Malaysian flight over the Ukraine, we now have planes being forced down in Belarus by military jets. We have a long history of civilian aviation as supposed to be above these conflicts. It's now becoming pretty, with the grounding of Evo Morales' plane, it's now becoming common for military authorities to intercept passenger jets. And it's being done by the U.S.'s side and the, Putin-aligned governments as well, or the Russian-aligned governments. And so we have this situation of a continual collapse of sort of the international norms that liberals were so proud of. And this is something that's to be expected. It's something to be expected because we have failed to rein in our own excesses. So this started with our brazen spying, the lawlessness of the war on terror, the Patriot Act, Guantanamo Bay, and on and on and on it continues. And the United States has led the way. The United States has led the way over and over and over again in these deprivations of rights. And now we start to see it happening more and more by other countries.
We're going to begin with this, where Western leaders are calling the forced landing of a commercial jet in Belarus everything from a hijacking to a state-sponsored terror act. Think about that for a second. The Ryanair flight finally landed in Lithuania last night after being diverted to Belarus capital, that's Minsk, based on a phony bomb plot.
This man never made it to his final destination. He is Roman Protasevich, an activist and prominent critic of Belarus's leader, Alexander Lukashenko. He was taken off the plane. Lukashenko is one of Russian President Vladimir Putin's closest allies, and his opponents have accused him of election fraud. Charlie D'Agata is following this still unfolding story. Charlie, good morning.
Good morning to you. There are growing concerns this morning of Russian involvement after the CEO of that airline, Ryanair, said he believed Russian agents were on that plane. A British official said this morning, if this is not an act of war, it's certainly a warlike act.
Here's the Ryanair passenger plane on the tarmac in the Belarus capital of Minsk. Luggage pulled off the plane and inspected by sniffer dogs.
Who here has flown Ryanair?
Called a bomb threat. But the real target of the search appeared to be opposition activist.
Chat, how many of you have flown Ryanair? If you don't know about Ryanair, it is basically the hyper cheap airline that actively hates their passengers. Ryanair was invented by a sadist who likely his main goal in life is to figure out more and more uncomfortable ways for people to exist. Plans to get rid of seats and introduce pay toilets. This is what this sadist wants to do. Imagine you're on an airplane and you forgot to get cash and you have to take a shit and they're like, nah, you gotta pay. What are you supposed to do? Shit your pants? Now, chat, pay toilets are actually pretty common in Europe. Did you know that? At least they were. And pay toilets largely don't exist in America at all because of an organized movement to abolish paid toilets. That there was a movement to abolish paying toilets in America. My friend and I were flying from Edinburgh to Copenhagen, and they charged us $5 each to print our boarding passes. Oh, they fucked you over, didn't they? They got you. They got you good. So Ryanair is basically a sadist torture, device. And this, by the way, chat, is what capitalists will do. You let them get away with this shit, and they will do it. Ryanair boss Michael O'Leary is still considering introducing standing seats on the airline's aircraft and has reiterated his commitment to introducing coin-operated toilets. Speaking in a television program, How to Beat the Budget Airlines, which will be shown on 7:30 this p.m., O'Leary said, the other change we've been looking at is taking out the last 10 rows of seats. So we will have 15 rows of seats, and then the equivalent of 10 rows of standing area. However, the CAA spokesman said the seats would struggle to meet safety requirements, adding it's aviation law that people have to have a seatbelt on from takeoff and landing, so they would have to be in a seat. I don't know how Mr. O'Leary would get around that one. During turbulence, passengers also have to have a seatbelt on. Now, chat, that's because of law. If the laws didn't exist, they would have already done this shit. Oh, you broke your neck because turbulence happened when you were on a plane? Too fucking bad. You knew the risks. That's what the world would be like. Eventually, they're just going to drop you from orbit like in The Edge of Tomorrow. If they have coin-operated toilets, just shit your pants and see how they deal with it, Pepela. Yeah, you can go ahead and do that. I'm good. I'm good. I don't think I'm going to be shitting my pants. Anyway, that's Ryanair.
Pulled off the plane and inspected by sniffer dogs for what authorities called a bomb threat. But the real target of the search appeared to be opposition activist Roman Protasevich, who was detained upon landing. Before his arrest, a fellow passenger said Protasevich knew he was in danger.
Super scared. I looked at him directly into his eyes, and it was very sad.
The Ryanair flight took off from Athens, bound for Lithuania.
Motherfucker's getting tortured right now.
2 minutes before it entered Lithuanian airspace, it was diverted. The pilots were told to land the aircraft in Minsk because of a potential security threat. According to the flight tracking, it appears the plane was actually closer to its final destination in Vilnius when it changed course.
So this is how you know it's a total fraud. It was closer to Vilnius, and they set fighter jets up. The pilot pussed out. They should have crossed over into Lithuania. The pilot pussed out. And here's the thing, chat. If people try to avoid Belarus, that means flying from places like Finland to anywhere in Southern Europe, especially the east side of the Mediterranean, is going to be blocked. It causes a lot of problems for these Baltic countries. It really raises the expense to flying there. It's really bad for the environment, because the most efficient space between 2 points on the globe is that curve, the Great Circle Route. So if Belarus is nixed, a lot of these countries that are further up here, especially when flying from Southern Europe, basically become much more expensive and time-consuming. That's some horseshit, man. Ryanair fucking up on this one somehow? Oh my god. Ryanair has now amended its statement on the abduction of the Belarus journalist from its plane in Minsk. Nothing untoward has been changed to an act of aviation piracy. Our updated statement regarding yesterday's diversion of FR 4978. Ryanair condemns the unlawful action of Belarusian authorities who diverted Ryanair's flight to Minsk yesterday, which was an act of aviation piracy. This is now being dealt with by the EU safety and security agencies and NATO. Ryanair is fully cooperating with them, and we cannot comment further for security reasons. I mean, chat, what, you think they're actually going to change their flights? All our aircraft will continue to use Belarusian airspace, so please be sure you're not a wanted person before you board. Or you're on a plane with a wanted person. Remember, chat, it costs more money to fly around. It costs more money to fly around. So none of these airlines are going to stop flying through Belarus unless they're made to. Because guess what? The CEO is not on the plane. The shareholders are not on the plane. What do they give a shit? What, you're going to cause me to increase my costs on those flights by 30%? Are you mad? They won't stop using these airspaces unless they're made to. Just remember that. Keck, when EU and NATO does it, not piracy. When East Europe does, it's illegal. Yeah, that's what we were saying earlier.
It appears the plane was actually closer to its final destination in Vilnius when it changed course. Belarus state media reported that President Alexander Lukashenko himself ordered a MiG-29 fighter jet to escort the aircraft down. The Lithuanian prime minister called for an uncompromising international response.
It is an unprecedented attack against an international community.
I want to see a statement from their fucking...
and its passengers have been
I want to see a Belarusian statement.
Force.
Anybody have the Belarusian statement?
In exile after helping to organize demonstrations against Lukashenko, who has ruled Belarus with an iron fist for 27 years and is widely believed to have rigged the last election, which triggered widespread protests last summer. In the brutal crackdown that followed, tens of thousands were arrested and many demonstrators were badly beaten. Lukashenko has a powerful patron in Russian President Vladimir Putin. The CEO of Ryanair said he believed Russian agents were on board that flight because only one person was arrested when it landed, but a number of passengers got off, while everyone else continued.
EU ministers will be meeting in Brussels today to consider new sanctions against Belarus. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken.
Well, that was stupid. They just burned all those agents. Anyway, let's keep going.
Blinken called the incident shocking and accused Belarus of endangering the lives of those aboard the aircraft, including some Americans. Enrique?
Charlie Daggett in London, thank you.
So, all in all, I want to look more at... Hold on. Before we've actually talked about the Belarusian stuff yesterday. We talked about... This is so... I'm sorry if you were here yesterday. You're seeing this again. It's just 2 minutes, chat.
Вы знаете, что мы
Знаю.
из Беларуси?
Знаю. Вот смотри. Стив, вот это...
This is why Steven Seagal does it. The gift baskets, chat. The gift baskets.
Вот такая. Это я ему написал. Лён.
And it's a political culture press.
He's a big fan of Putin. He's a big fan of Putin.
That's one of the biggest in the world. Like.
Is it okay if I take a picture of him and I together on my phone?
Вы разрешите сфотографироваться с вами на...
So beautiful.
Поистине красиво.
Very relaxing.
Очень расслабляет.
He's very much a right, might right makes right type of guy, yeah. This is my favorite part of the video, chat. They have the Belarusian president starts peeling it with a butter knife.
Кушай на здоровье, это очень полезно. Stupid. Это его любим. Готов.
Nice. He's like, here you go. Here's a watermelon. I've never seen these before.
То есть это вот капуста, грибы,
The cabbage, mushrooms.
сало.
I love that the Belarusian president's drip is what all his citizens have. He's got the Eastern European, like, runner on. Motherfucker's president of Belarus. And he's out there in his tracksuit.
Вот это и есть та свекла, о которой я говорю.
Got that Slav style, man. Holy shit, dude. Holy shit. President. It's just extradition, just not by a Western country. Oh no, Westerners shocked. Only we could do this. Wait, what? Extradition is a second country sending a person back to a first country. There's no second country in this example. This is someone over Belarusian airspace being arrested. Okay. That's not how it works, chat. According to international agreement, people have, these airliners have free access to the airspace over these countries. All right? And you are not considered to be in the jurisdiction of that country if you're flying over that country. All right? Sort of like when, have you ever had a connecting flight? Say you're flying from New York City to, I don't know, Athens, and you have a stopover in London. When you land in London, you don't have to go through customs in the UK. You don't have to go through security again. You are kept in a special zone in the airport for connecting flights, and you pass through, and you don't go through the security and the screening and the customs of the UK. You're just briefly there, and then you move the fuck on, right? Now, if you're flying over a country in its airspace, that especially applies. You are not within the jurisdiction of that country in a legal, technical term because of these civil aviation treaties. So the idea that you could be flying in Europe, and because of your blog posts or your leaks, they could send fighter jets to divert your plane down. That is piracy. That is a violation of international law. And the United States has done it, and now Belarus is doing it. And because I'm a lefty, I reminded you of the time we did it to Evo Morales. So I don't want you to sit there with some sort of brain dead centrist take like, oh my God, Putin, I can't believe this is unprecedented. You actually need to know where your country is fucking up and also creating space for other countries to do this shit. Because if the United States does it, that gives license to other countries to do the same shit. We do politics here every morning starting at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. You can watch us here on Twitch. We're the morning guy, the morning politics guy, Politics Frogs in every single day, same time, 10 a.m., day in, day out. And we carry you through your morning and early afternoon politics needs. And if you need more, Mike from PA, we have a YouTube channel. We talked about suburbs, the My Pillow guy, Ted Cruz. We talked about DSA. Amazing. Making fun of Tim Pool. Amazing. Look at all of these amazing videos. Get in there, watch them. We have me on Twitter. You got to follow me on Twitter, chat. I'm at 20,614 subs. That means I got like 40 followers on Twitter in the last day. You can do better than that. You can do better than that. Go follow us on Twitter. And of course, join the Discord, where we have an incredible community of left-wing streamers We have left-wing community. We talk about the stream. We talk about politics. There's gaming content. It's a really awesome, supportive place. Direct action, mutual aid, and you can just let off some steam. And also, you can help produce the show. One of the things I do is I look at the links that are put into the news content suggestions chat room on the Discord. Join the Discord, come hang out, and maybe what you want me to talk about will be part of the next show.